Hey, this is Chris from Rekkid Talk, and so we're going to do a contest today. It's going to be 5 concerts in 5 minutes. It'll probably take me more than 5 minutes, so don't hold me to that. This contest is being hosted by Low Noise Jason Skills, our techno industrial loving DJ from up north in Canada. And so he wants us to talk about our favorite concerts. Mine isn't going to be a ranking per se. I'm going to pick out 5 concerts. They each have sort of a little story to them. So the first concert I'm going to talk about is the craziest concert of my life. This would have taken place in either late 1992 or early 1993 at a place called the Filling Station in Bozeman, Montana. So this was when I was working at Yellowstone, and this place called the Filling Station would have like some like grunge and punk bands come through, particularly going back and forth between Seattle and Minneapolis. And so the opening band for the craziest concert that I saw was the Billings, Montana based Spurge. I know Jason loves cassettes, so this is like a self-released cassette. I probably bought it at a show. It may have not been this specific show because this band Spurge tended to be the opener when there was a traveling act that needed an opener, or if it was all local bands, they would be the headliner. They were a pretty cool sort of funk-based alternative metal band, not dissimilar to, say, Red Hot Chili Peppers or Faith No More. The headliners that night were the sub-pop band Love Battery. This is a recent reissue of their debut album, Dayglow. They were also noted for being one of the bands that appeared on the Grunge Years compilation. Probably their best song number 12, Between the Eyes. And so this place, the Filling Station, there were like poker machines there because it's a bar in Montana. People were jumping off them. They were hanging on the lights. And I'm not the only one who says it's crazy. One of the guys from Spurge, they got interviewed years later. They were reissuing some of their stuff on MP3 files for like the Billings Gazette. And they were asked about what was the craziest experience they had when they were a band. And they mentioned the exact show I was telling you about. Next category is I Broke My Glasses, which also sounds like it was a crazy concert. So this was when I was living in the Denver area. This show probably took place in 1995. There were 5 bands on the bill at the Mammoth Event Center. And so the first band was the Dallas, Texas-based pop-punk band called Hagfish. So this is a 7-inch single. Nice, pretty cover. Stamp, Eat 'Em While You Work would probably be this band's most well-known song. I think it's about oral sex. And so there's their album, their 7-inch, that looks pretty cool. The second band was a band called Super Suckers. I don't have anything of theirs to show. Then the middle of the bill was Psycho Billy, another sub pop band, the Reverend Horton Heat. So I'm showing Smoke 'Em If You Got 'Em, which I think is their best record. I have a few of theirs. Classics like Psycho Billy Freak Out and Bad Reputation and Marijuana and Eat Steak and Big Dwarf Rodeo. And then second from the top was Morphine. So we all know about Morphine. Of course, the late Mark Sandman on bass and vocals, Dana Cowley on saxophone. I'm not remembering the drummer's name. Jerome Dupree. And so this is their album Cure for Pain. And then the headliners and the mosh during their part, the pit during their part of the show was when my glasses fell off and somebody stepped on them, would be the Violent Femmes. So I'm going to show the Violent Femmes debut album, which I still have on cassette tape because I know Jason loves cassettes. Here's an old worn out cassette that I played a lot back in the day. So my third concert, so I never saw the Sex Pistols, so I can't tell you about seeing the Sex Pistols, but I did see the Ramones. So I can tell you about seeing the Ramones. Of course, in the mid 1970s, I was a little kid living in Wyoming, so I certainly wasn't seeing the Ramones during their heyday, but I did see them in Denver at the Ogden Theater during the Adios Amigos final tour in either 1995 or 96. This is a reissue. Hey Ho, Let's Go. And of course, they kind of played a greatest hits montage, sort of like Ramones Mania. So I saw the Ramones play. Next one I'm going to show you is a live album where I was at the show that the live album was made from. And so this would be Mudhoney live at Third Man Records. And this time I'm not a ticket stub saver, but we do have that the date was September 26, 2013. So just a little over 10 years ago. So this was recorded in the Blue Room, which is like the basement of Third Man Records. They will oftentimes record concerts straight to acetate. This was during their Vanishing Point tour, so some of the songs like Chardonnay and The Only Son of the Widow from Nain were from that album. Of course, some earlier stuff like When Tomorrow Hits and In and Out of Grace. They played a lot of other songs. This is certainly, this was not the only part of their sets. And because I was at the show, if you're at the show, you get the ability to buy from Third Man Records the split translucent blue and black version. So the only way you can get that is if you're at the show or if you buy it from somebody on the secondary market. They issue plain black versions that they sell in their store, their brick and mortar and online stores. So that was a show I was at. And then the final one I'm going to talk about, which would be the most recent of these concerts, would be another concert from Nashville in the year 2016 at a place called the Basement East, which is in East Nashville. It was a place that was heavily damaged by a tornado that happened shortly before the pandemic started, but I was there a few years before that happened. And so this is under the category Unknown Opener Blows Up. So I'll tell you about the headliner first. The headliner was the reunited Blake Babies on a very limited tour. And so in 2016, the Blake Babies self-released the demos version of their Earwig album. So demos that they had recorded back in 1988. There they are, including this guy, Andrew Mayer, the bass player, who was basically around for these demos, and about it. Most of these songs made the regular album, although AKA Deluxeberry in particular did not make the album. This is the only place you can get it. It's basically Juliana talking shit about her hometown of Duxbury, Massachusetts. This was released on Chew Bud Records, which was the name of the label that they had self-released their debut on back in 1987. It's on nice, pretty colored vinyl. And so they only played like 5 shows for this. They played a couple in Boston where Juliana lives, this show in Nashville, and a show in Birmingham, Alabama, based on where John Strom lives. And then they had a show or two up in Evanston, Illinois, near Chicago, where Frida Love lives. So I never saw the Blake Babies at like the Rat in Boston during the late 80s, but I did see them in 2016 as a middle-aged man. But the unknown opener blowing up. So who do you think opened? Somebody named Phoebe Bridgers, who was a complete unknown in 2016, opened for the Blake Babies at this small club in East Nashville. And if you're wondering how in the hell did that happen, because now she's blown up with her solo career and boy genius. Well, John Strom is a music industry lawyer. He represents a lot of artists, and Phoebe Bridgers was an artist that he was representing. And so, again, this was before her debut album, Stranger in the Alps, was released in 2017. And so I'm pretty sure he was responsible for her opening. Of course, that's something that's never going to happen again. So there's 5 concerts for you, Jason. 5 concerts in just under 10 minutes.